Hey guys, Boris here. Day 1 of the second week of regionals has completed and many exciting games were played as all these top players strive to secure their ticket to the Worlds. And if you take a quick look here at the score sheet after the first day on the NA side, we can see that overall the scores are quite close. Now, there are a few players who have pulled ahead, but if we take a look at the cutoff here that is going to take place after a few games into the day 2, pretty much all these players are within 3 points, therefore this is going to be a very interesting place to take a look. And if we take a look at players who got eliminated, we can see that Vasion got out after a good start but took a few bad games. We also lost Quintinia and Bosso Skills, some players who have definitely been expected to at least advance to the day 2. And well, obviously for the case of Vasion to the day 3 even. But if you also look down here, there's Dishsoap here who started off a rough start but then pulled a few clutch games. This Earth 8 here happened due to a Jinx bug essentially where he lost a couple of rounds. However, this first game here I noticed was a very interesting one and he managed to display his full understanding of the game. Therefore, let's jump in there and see how well he navigates the trade 3 to achieve his first place in a very clutch spot. We are playing in Gwen's Gifts encounter, where we can expect quite high item tempo. Therefore, generally already, like these competition lobbies are the highest on the tempo side that you will ever get. Therefore, sometimes you do not get to these highest of the cap board states as you might on your ladder games. But in an encounter like Gwen's Gifts, is going to be even more punishing. You can already see there's a player with a couple of jinxes, definitely signaling the jinx reroll right there. We have picked up a Draven on our own, which is a great start. Can possibly consider into the Draven LeBlanc reroll. Have a Prior to pair with that as well, and can keep the potential Slayer out as well, as Slayers are a comp. If you're able to capitalize on this early tempo, you are able to get there. The only issue is going to be finding these embesses that are contested in something like a male flex. Dishsoap, we can see, I'm covering here in chat, but Dishsoap has called Darius reroll here. We have the adaptive helm. We have that is definitely a signal there. Could also play for Gargoyles if he gets something like a solo plate. So coming up on our augment selection here, sorry about that. We can see if we are definitely committing to this reroll plan, even though Treasure Hunt might seem appealing, it requires a lot of investment. Now, the current strategy has been to, if you're able to play from ahead on the 3-cost reroll, you take combat and scaling augments to do so and go for a win out. Otherwise, when we're looking for recon, that's definitely 3-cost reroll is perhaps the most expensive comps type in the game, apart from these extremely capped fast 9 comps, obviously, in this current meta. But you want those resources a lot earlier if you're playing fast 9, you're playing from ahead by default pretty much. Therefore, Cluttered Mind seems appealing to be obtaining as an econ augment. Early learnings is going into 1 cost. That's going to be that great. Legion of Trees is one of these combat augments that you can definitely be considering playing into. Bringer of Ruin is also a possibility. It would give us an immediate option to unlock the LeBlanc as a potential carry for this stage. Therefore, going to go up on Treasure Hunt. I have not really seen anyone taking it. And Hard Bargain would mess up our items. Legion of Trees is going to be, and we do get a long shot emblem. Now, obviously emblems cannot be snipped, and this isn't even a craftable emblem. And it seems that we are not going to be able to, we do not have a unit to really slam this adaptive or a Gargoyle Zone for tempo. This long shot emblem is not going to provide us with that much value right away, so we opt to go for a sack and we opt to sack and make 10 there, find the Scion, so going to slam that adaptive helm. That helm is just very interesting to note how it's so strong on the Darius, providing him with that mana, able to, in a way, work as a pseudo healing option, as him casting obviously heals him, and also can be transitioned onto LeBlanc during your mid games in some necessary situations or early games until you get to the Darius if you do not have this Draven. Now, since we have the Longshot Emblem Slam on Draven, that's going to also unlock the Darius for us as soon as we level to 5. So we're playing for this level 5 spike most likely. Able to find the LeBlanc. Now, I would assume that the plan here is perhaps to try to 5 loss, but although... Okay, we have won the run around, my bad. So there are a couple of few weaker players, but can we might have to go for a 3 loss if we can. However, see that there's the Vasion Iverson with the Bard. So actually our board is pretty strong. We opted to play that Loris as well to make the strongest of the boards. And if we are, I believe our worry is that we might not be able to end up on a and a 4 streak to end this stage, as we do want to maximize our gold. If we are playing with an item or a combat augment into this 3-cost reroll, we want to find a way to maximize this gold. Going to grab a belt with a Nautilus here generally can be quite flexible, and going to remove her here and perhaps slam the Sunfire right away. Yes, we're gonna do so, just playing for this item tempo. Going to most likely in a way now commit to this, trying to win. But however, we see there's a Birthday Reunion Robin songs with the Echo too. That Echo is still very strong in the early game. Also opted to make this Jarvan too for once we get the Darius unlocked. Are we able to take out this Echo? This is going to be quite close. The Jinx has ramp, but the LeBlanc ult comes in and we're able to take it out. So very well spotted by Dishsoap. Something that I did not notice, that we can definitely try to play for this. Trying to end on a streak is 4 streak, unfortunate if we do get that. So it seems like we should be able to secure it. We have Changshun Li, who is playing a cooking pot augment. You don't see as much with Angeshamlaman. He is positioned to feed his Bard. Perhaps a mistake on their part. But we're able to close out on a 4 streak. Also played around with the board to see if 5 Noxus or the upgraded defender is going to be stronger for us. Going to consider it. Now, we have this long short emblem still. How we're going to use it, I'm not exactly sure. Now, one option is the playing around this Kog'Maw Malzahar reroll. Because Kog'Maw gives you the longshot, but does the Malzahar really benefit from the longshot as much? I'm not too sure. And per end hour, we will have to pivot our board completely to do so. Right, we have this spot for the Noxus Darius reroll. However, I think in the chat there was a player who also called out that they might be doing so. Going to slam the Even Shroud simply for the tempo. We can obviously flip that. Yeah, we can see that there is also a Zoe player in the lobby. Therefore, we're going to be a little suspicious. And this Rek'Sai, the positioning here on this Rek'Sai is like, this is the reason sometimes you do want to put a positioning like this. When the Rek'Sai is going to wrap here, she has the 4 hex range to be able to go out on your backline. She's absolutely just demolishes us. Now, coming up on our augment selection, again, we mentioned the solo plate. If we are play for this Darius reroll, something that is quite good, but I'm not sure if we can be playing into it. You cannot be really playing into it if there is another player doing so. We lost that round, so we might not have the econ amount since we didn't complete a 5 streak or go on a 6 streak to go fast 9 either. Pandora's items in an encounter like Gwen's loses a little bit of value since the encounter incentivizes you to be playing aggressively with components. This would require you to be holding on to them in certain cases, but if we were able to accelerate our item economy, it might provide you. So therefore spreading roots here might be quite appealing since it provides us a reforger. Pandora's obviously could do so as well. However, this just simply gives us more item value, perhaps can help us establish a direction since we are like clutched from all the, pinched in from all the possible ways. Epoch would be appealing, Econ Augment if we are committing to this reroll board. Celestial Blessing would be more than melee comps, however it seems to work also in some of the tank, so Stone Columns requiring tankiness. Now we reforged our Arcanist and Ishtal emblem into Disruptor, Demacia Freljord. Now, this rings a bell. This sounds something like a Lissandra Seraphim with some Demacia splash, and especially now with the Galio unlock changes, we could possibly play for a Galio as well. Would one going to opt to skip holding onto this lore, so it's just a little bit too expensive right now. Opted to slot in the Malzahar to provide a disruptor. Probably going to transition that on the LeBlanc. And yeah, the nice thing about the Demacia emblems, the general caster units very much like the mana reduction the Demacia emblem provides. Obviously, that assumes that you have sufficient amount of frontline. Otherwise, toss the Demacia on the frontline just to give them that extra armor and magic resist. Now, going to be losing to the Darth Noobs reroll board, so this is going to be an interesting stage to play out. We still need to be finding our strongest board in order to preserve as much as HP as we possibly can. However, we are not really on sitting only. The pair is the LeBlanc right here. And we are most likely playing for a fast 8 comp, and obviously this fast 8 comp would require quite a lot of... even though we have that extra juice, we do want some lives that we might otherwise lose on stage 5 to these higher cap boards. Definitely wanted to look for any kind of AP items since we only really had 1 tier. Did not have a single rod beforehand. Do get the rod dropped from the Gwen, so able to complete an Archangels for tempo. And managed natural LeBlanc too, which is quite nice, but we are queuing into Rubber Brachus, Jinx too. The Heavy as the Crown Jinx can be quite scary if they're able to get there. They also have a Singe too already on their level 7 roll down. Level 7, 10 gold, so roll down how quickly with the body. Armor, also another scaling augments. We can definitely see that there's quite a few players who are interested in playing for these scaling augment types into these 3-cost rerolls. Yes, that secures you a potential for a win out, especially for a complex Jinx, if you're able to get her with a couple of good combat augments and then find the econ on 1 year later augments and hit the board. You are quite good, or leverage the fact that there are other 3-cost reroll players in the lobbies who roll a little bit later on a better improved odds. Able to secure a win against Evasion here, who seems to be in a quite tough spot. It's 23 HP going into the stage 3 PvE. Would have to probably be even 4-1 in the case. We're also picking up the Demacia units right here and looking to unlock the Gallia on level 8. However, we are a little bit poor. We just leveled to 7 and we are level 7 40 gold, level 7 40 gold here again because we find that Seraphine. And the worrying thing here as well is that we are probably not sure about our Piltover mods either. We would have to be trying to find a way, and yeah, thing to note here, you cannot really snip on the units on your bench, especially during combat. I think you can outside of combat maybe. I'm forgetting myself, has been a while since I played this encounter. But we're unlocking a cannon here, able to secure a win through the upgraded Sejuani, and still using this LeBlanc as a potential carrier until we're going to get the 2-star 4-cost online probably. Gilded Steel would be if he had the possibility to be playing around any of these 5-costs, but I believe at this point they're probably looking for any form of an econ augment if we can find one, since we have 2 item and one item, 1 pseudo item combat augment. But Earths here is actually very appealing as well. Since we have these 3 at the moment, we could complete another spatula here. We have something like a Demacia emblem that we could make. This providing the attack speed and mana gen, plus stacking with the Legion of 3s, which is going to provide attack speed and health for our units, could be synergistically very strong. It's going to be probably better than the Spirit Link here in terms of combat. Exclusive customization. We have the items sorted, like we would have to be taking this only for 10 gold, do not really want that. Earths is going to have a more value overall on our board, unless I can say we have these Demacia emblems. If we are opting to make here another Demacia emblem, we're going to have quite a bit of tankiness in our team, so we're definitely going for this Earths here. And yeah, it seems like we're going to be completing this Demacia emblem, gives us 5 Demacia here, and it seems like we're, okay, yeah, so we can snip on the bench. So unfortunately this blocks it in during the combat because Sam's works with the removers, so it is what it is. And we are not going to leveling here. It seems that we are realizing that we need to hit quite a lot of our board at the moment, and if we were to level here we would be like 10 gold level 8. The nice thing that we won the previous round right there on stage 4, and we managed to preserve a little bit of HP on stage 3. And if we're able to spike hard, as the Seraphine Lysandra comp is a comp that can spike very hard on level 8, we get those 2-star 4-costs online, and we know that we are not contested that many ways. This player might be trying to go for our Broms. There is a player, but nice thing is that they're not going for the Seraphine, which this comp sometimes does, to pair with that Gwen. Since we're playing, it seems like, yeah, around a less contested 4-costs, we are going to simply maximize our gold, leverage that HP to secure better shop odds and be more efficient with our gold. Otherwise, leveling here without having to find, but if we hadn't found any unit right on those 10 gold, what would we really do? Play a naked Nautilus 1, that's not worth the level. Now going to do so, find another Seraphine right there. Now Lysandra, still not very rich. Quick Seraphine too, so might have to give up on this LeBlanc too now. Going to try start sorting out our emblems. This is going to be very heavy item turn, especially with these snips. Tossing them items on the Seraphine. The Disruptor Emblem is probably most likely going to go on Lysandra there afterwards. And Seraphine might be taking the Demacia emblem since she greatly likes the greatly enjoys the reduction in the mana for our piltover mods. Unfortunately, did not hit the continuum cogs, therefore this comp does have a bit of shielding, might consider turned oscillator. Caliber nuts would more play into something like a melee stall. An electric overload could provide us a little bit of extra damage. Now, if we are playing around this Poppy who also shields, then turned oscillators would be quite appealing, but yeah, so he's going to value the more defensiveness on our team. Shields nicely synergizing with the magic resistance and armor from the Demacia trait, right? Instead did not put the Demacia emblem on the Seraphine, wanting to opt her for full item carry. Perhaps we're going to value that only once we get Alessandra 2 online. But as you can see, even with the other forecasts being pulled out of pool, this comp still, and especially in this variation that we have here, we're also going to go for a Garen, which is extremely contested of a unit. Lost that round, we won that round, but we found a better placement. Not going to be playing around this Ornn. Unlocked the Volibear nicely on this board as well. So now we're probably looking to complete our... Let's try to remove some of our items, right? Going to snip the Sejuani apart. Probably want a Demacia emblem on one of our frontline units. Otherwise, going to move the Demacia emblem of Seraphine as we are able to find. So probably utility on the Lysandro here and damage on the Seraphine. Yes, we go for that. Get that Braum online. Have that nicely. Have him declaw. Just slam a Steadfast and Titans instead here rather than a Bramble West. Since this is pretty much there's not that many AD players in the lobby, and this Titans can later on be transitioned onto the Volibear. So greatly worked out items. This was actually extremely complicated turn, realizing how you can play those snips and just having to do so much APM with transitioning the items. And now obviously, yeah, the Seraphine also is gaining the Legion of Threes value, gaining that mana gen in the extra form from the Earths. So very interesting how to play all around all these emblem augments, which have some of these innate synergies. Definitely cooked quite well here. And now that we've hit pretty much our board, we can try to go 9 and probably perhaps slot in, I don't know, obviously a Bruiser or a Warden. Nothing else really would complement our trade tree. Could just go for something like a Fiddlesticks otherwise. Chasing the guarantee is going to be quite hard at this spot, right? Since there's quite a lot of players that might be looking to play around Silas Cup, but I do not see actually so many players holding on to the Garants. And since we have that pair, if we drop a live, probably going to have to be sending it to try to find it. Also nicely pivot completing with the Oriana or Piltover. Do drop around here actually to the Malzahar Zoe player. Perhaps some form of positioning. They were on our weak side, and yeah, so this Braum was not tanking the Zoe's damage right there, and perhaps that's how they accessed our backline through the Zoe splash damage. Picked up a Hodge that is just going to provide some survivability for our Volibear right now. Now checking our matchups. They do have quite a few strong players here, able to get this Braum closer to the side of their carry now. Did not fully gamble onto the corner, as otherwise we might just come completely screwed, but still this Braum is extremely strong against them. They have this Mundo with a Bramble West that's not going too much against our board, so able to take out Brabobro, who, unfortunate for them that they had to be making this Bramble West. And okay, we could just natural our Guarantee here and holding on to this Wukong. So it does appear that we are going to be considering playing Wukong as another source of frontline, instead of just having immense frontline on our team through that way. Now we have the Garen to be holding for the Malzahar Zoe at least as another secondary tank. Then do not have to gamble the sides fully. It's also... No, he was moving the... Wait, so we are checking a Kobuku unlock here as well. Now, could we be considering playing around some form of a 4 Invoker board if we find that Zillion as well? Oh wait, we can unlock Rise this way as well, right? So we can drop out a Piltover. Since our module is not that appealing, we are able to unlock Rise, put that Kobo coin, and we do hit Rise too right away. It does not seem that the lobby was playing so much against the Rise, but we have to move these items. There's quite a lot to do. We still have the Forger, and then we blocked the shop probably, yeah, and because we cannot afford. We can get the Rise 2 on next turn and transition some of the... We could just transition right the Seraphine items right away. Could also be considering some of the shred from the Lysandra. Are we going to be tossing an emblem? Alright, so yeah, going to transition Seraphine as the utility holder and have the Rise as the disruptor. Very well spotted how to itemize your unit. This just comes without so much practice. Like, these Gwent's encounters just show how much you've played Hake and Salvage Bin in your games, and Dishsoap, being one of the Salvage Bin lovers, is just fully displaying and also recognizing how to optimally itemize your units. And we have secured a top 2 already from this spot, and it seems like we are going to be able to win out even without a volley too, as we said. Sometimes in these high tempo lobbies, especially with these 3-cost rerolls, you're just simply not able to get to the highest of the caps of the board. However, this board is obviously still extremely strong. I'm sorry about that. And now that we have the Brahmins in front of their carries right there, the Rise is going to be just simply access the bare backlines and start to slow them out all the threats. And they're still stuck on level 7, so we're able to secure a win. So very well read by Dishsoap, recognizing that, hey, we just cannot gamble on getting a Reforger from naturally a Reforger. Taking an Augment that provides us an emblem is going to provide a Legion of 3's value that is inherently synergistic. Get the Reforger, get rid of all the emblems that we got dropped, and got dropped a clear direction from our emblems there, and then finding it. Okay, we are on a spot that we can sack to go to the level 8, so we can take another synergistic augment in terms of Earth, and accelerate a comp that generally seems to cap lower, with all this combat strength and item strength pumped into it, and secure a win in a dire spot where we definitely needed to make it to the day 2. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.